Mike, he's the owner of Fitness Yoga. He's the owner, but he's a fitness and yoga instructor of Rotary Yoga. He's a certified elite personal trainer, a nutritionist, strength and conditioning coach, a yoga instructor, a chef, and he loves creating music and plays several instruments. Laurie Renard, founder of Rotary Yoga. Laurie's a yoga instructor, alignment coach, and personal trainer. I need an alignment coach, by the way. She has been in the yoga industry since 2011 and is trained with master level facilitators in the fields of yoga and personal development. Laurie leads in the discovery of natural physical alignment as an access to personal progress. Has anybody in this room ever done hot yoga?
Goat yoga.
When I went the first time, she said, your goal is to just be alive in 90 minutes. Don't do anything, just sit here and be alive in 90 minutes. You're up. I lost 40 pounds that time.
Thanks for having me and for the introduction. My name is Laurie. As he mentioned, I own Rotary Yoga in Marietta. I've been in business since 2014. I live in Marietta with my family. I have a 6-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter, so life is busy. Glad I made it out today. Enjoying my alone time. My background is in Baptiste Power Yoga, so if you're familiar with that, I have trained with master level facilitators in that style of yoga. I have over 1,000 training hours, and I took the first spot, sorry. And I have thousands of instruction hours. I've been teaching yoga for a long time, and in my work of moving bodies through the practice of yoga, it's really led me to the work that I'm up to currently. So more so than yoga, I'll be sharing with you about the alignment work that I've been up to. So just by a show of hands, how many people in the room have had or currently have had an injury or a physical limitation of some kind? Yeah. I figured I would see a lot of hands there. Yeah, the current statistic is that for the age 44 plus, that over 30%, nearly 40% of adults are functioning daily with pain. And the result of pain is that it limits our movement and our activity, typically due to a fear of further injury. So whether or not, injuries can happen in all sorts of ways. Sleeping can be a sport sometimes. You wake up and you're not quite sure what happened the night before. There's lots of ways we become injured, and regardless of, how an injury is incurred, as we move less because of injury, we lose strength, flexibility, power, and overall our lives become less fulfilled. There is, like I mentioned, this endless list of how the body goes about becoming injured, and sometimes we're not even sure how it happens. And whatever way you incur an injury, the result of the injury is that your body is taken out of what I call its natural physical alignment. And natural physical alignment is best described as the body's intended shape, how we were intended to, get through this life. A good example of that is if you've ever seen a child, like a baby, when they first are able to sit up. If you haven't seen that for a while, next time check it out. Their alignment, an infant's alignment generally, is perfection. And it's a great example that, by design, most of us, if we're lucky, have shown up with the ability to hold ourselves in our upright position. And that's really the work that I do. It's how I change lives. I work with people to create their own natural physical alignment, to discover what it is in their body. So I know from my experience what alignment looks like. So I can see alignment in other bodies, and more importantly, I know how to create it. So I lead the discovery of natural physical alignment through the practices of alignment, which you could think of that as your bones. So your structure, placing the bones where the bones belong. And then the second practice I use, I call energetics. And so that is muscle use. The muscles support the frame. So that's essentially the work in a nutshell. Now this type of work is accessible to all bodies. So I work with athletes that are looking to improve, their baseball stats, and they're young and trying to avoid injury, which is great. I also work with clients that struggle with vertigo, and all of our time together is spent on the floor. But I know that this work's available to everybody. In my work teaching power yoga, as you had mentioned, you show up and survive some days. We do heat our studio to 90 degrees. And over the years, I've always have been passionate about bringing the benefits of yoga to everybody. And I've always been taught that yoga is for everybody. And to some extent, I find that to be true. But when you show up to a power yoga class, you might think different. So this work, my alignment coaching work, has been a way for me to create the foundation, the fundamentals of a yoga practice, literally in any body. You are able to create, at the end of our time together, you're on the path to what is your own natural physical alignment. And I don't know that there's a much greater knowing than to how to hold your body in its intended position in a way that allows you to move through life with less pain and more function and strength. On a physical level, that's all amazing. And as a yoga instructor, what I know is that the results when the body is aligned are far beyond the physical. Some of my clients have gone on to start their own businesses, leaving jobs, starting over, and really starting to pursue their lives that they really want to live. What else do I have for you? I'm back in college right now, speaking in front of you right now. Ooh. Okay. So yeah, it's like I mentioned, my clients leave with decreased pain, increased mobility, strength, and really just knowing what natural physical alignment is and how to create it in their own body. For some of us, the extent of injury or, we might not ever get back to that perfect alignment of an infant sitting up for the first time. But from wherever you are, you can certainly move towards greater alignment. Does anybody have any questions for me in regards to what I do? Yes, sir.
You talk about alignment, and I immediately think of chiropractic. Is there kind of a crossover where the two practices meet?
So I will say this, and I do not know a lot about chiropractic care, but I put it in the level of massage therapy, chiropractic care. Those are places you can go to get some relief, right? A solution to the problem of my back hurts. Likely you're going to have to keep going back to the chiropractor, and the chiropractor is the only person, or the massage therapist, that can give you that treatment, right? You go there, you get your treatment, it provides a solution, perhaps an ongoing solution for you. What I do is I give you the tools to create your own solution. So we would work together for some time, and at the end of our time together, you know how to create, you know how to use your muscles and place your bones in a way that's constantly developing the solution. The body, a lot of what I do, you could think of over time, you know, in our lives, we all develop patterns that we're unaware of. And a lot of what I do is teaching the body to break up the patterns. Like, example, this is a common posture, and we didn't start this way, but throughout life, for whatever reason, we've ended up here. And then the tendency is, as we come up here, we go here. So the pattern is, you know, these things are very intertwined. So that's in relationship to like the low back, right? If I'm here, I don't know if you know this, but I'm like dumping here, right? This is a lot of us. This is a little extreme, but for the most part, we're walking around dumping into our low backs for a long time. The tendency is then when we correct that, we'll end up rounding, and so the two are very interrelated. And what I do really, or what we do, is break up the patterns that the body's created that are keeping it out of alignment. And that is invaluable. As the body learns that, it becomes the new normal, right? Like, the body's pretty remarkable. And at any point, at any age, you can begin to retrain the physical body to wake up and know or learn things in a different way that contribute to your posture, your alignment. Yes.
So the last 20 years or so with the cell phones and laptops, you hear all the time everybody's hunched over to look at these things. You probably see that constantly in your what you do.
So people's work definitely contributes to their structure. There's a lot of things that can contribute to the way we carry ourselves. Sometimes, like I said, injury or working crowded, right? And the work we do is really like alignment work, yoga. It's creating balance by creating the opposite, if that makes sense. So if we're spending 8 hours here, then maybe 2 hours a week we do yoga or alignment work and spend some time here. Yes, sir.
Are you suggesting that you help us create the optimum for each of us in whatever age we are?
Yeah, so a lot of the work I do is one-on-one with people. And so, yeah, the great word is optimal. You may not, like I said, get to quote-unquote perfect alignment, but progress is available. And it requires different things for different people. It's not, you know, like I mentioned, it's something that I've been trained to see in bodies, so I see it, and then I also know how to create it. So I've, you know, just in my experience of working with thousands of bodies, you know, I've learned over the years how to get them to do what I need them to do to come into alignment.
Say something about balance.
Balance?
Well, I'm older.
Yeah.
You know, the issue of balance is important. I can't walk down a railroad iron, and I used to just do that without thinking.
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, balance is
You're not
certainly.
supposed to be on the railroad
What are you doing there?
He's a rail walker.
Balance is certainly an obstacle, and there are several factors that can affect balance, and even in like in a young person, balance is changing every day. I mean, in a yoga class, you might show up one day and, you know, stand on one foot, no problem, and then the next week you show up and you can't do it. I would consider balance just an obstacle, something that could, you know, limit us from movement that we want to achieve, whether it's walking or
yoga or cycling. I think strength and flexibility are a huge contribution to balance. And, you know, in the line of work that I'm in, overall, you have to be patient with yourself and persistent, which is hard to do. You know, a big thing that I run into is like, you don't know. Like, I know because that's what I do and that's what I see. And, you know, if you don't know, you're not intentionally walking around trying to be out of alignment. You didn't do this on purpose. So when you know, like the value of knowing, we call that awareness. When you become aware of how you're holding yourself, that's invaluable. And so when you know, this is me in natural alignment, anything you want to do within that container, anything that you can do in your natural physical alignment, you suddenly have the confidence to do it. Injury occurs when we're out of integrity or out of alignment.
So now I'm self-conscious, am I sitting correctly?
That's exactly
Well,
what I
whatever.
was saying.
Here's my question, and
Yeah.
I don't mean it to sound like it might sound, but I'm just curious,
okay.
like training.
Yeah.
How did you get the training to be able to do what you do?
Could you use the microphone?
Oh, yes, yeah. He asked about my training, how I come to do what I do. So a big part of becoming a yoga instructor, if you do the correct training or a high level training, is an anatomical portion. I am not a doctor or a nurse or anything in that regard. My knowing of the body is more so through experience. Oddly enough, you know, I pretty much know the names of the major bones of the body and things like that, but my knowledge is mostly through experience. Like I've mentioned, I have moved thousands and thousands of bodies through yoga, and a lot of what I do is through language and having the right words to create the right response for the body. So experience is huge, but I've also had some very high level yoga training. I mentioned I teach Baptiste Power Yoga, so I trained with Baron Baptiste, who's the founder of that style of yoga. Don't look him up right now, he doesn't have a great rep. Baptiste yoga is shifting and changing. The yoga business in general is, which is a really good thing. But yeah, I would say yoga training with high-end facilitators, and my experience in moving the body. And you know, a lot of this work that I'm up to now is fairly new and a culmination of my life's work, I would say. It's not necessarily what I set out to do, but now that it's happening, it all makes a lot of sense. And I work with a coach for my business. Her name's Mary Lynn Jenkins. She is the former owner of Big Fish Power Yoga in Jacksonville, Florida. And she has really helped to align, you know, my movements as a business owner. And so a lot of things are lining up for me in that regard. And so, yeah, this work just really, it feels 100% correct. Any other questions? And I will say this too, last thing, because your question's in regard to like my training, like physical therapy, right? Has anybody ever had physical therapy? Yeah, and you know, a lot of times they have the ability to focus on like one area of the body. So they're like, okay, you had elbow surgery, we're gonna look at your elbow, we're gonna do all this stuff for your elbow. With this, it's full body, and in that regard, it's different from physical therapy. And I'm not a doctor in physical therapy, so they likely know a lot more details than I know. But yeah, yes.
The name of your firm is,
Vital Tree Yoga.
and where'd you get that name?
It's a great question. I just came up with it. I liked, a concept of yoga is, or a result of yoga is vitality, which is like life force energy. And I've always, that was an early result that I had gotten out of yoga that, it just really woke me up and gave me new energy and direction. And so Vital, that's where that came in. I liked trees as a logo, so that's where that came in, I think. But there's lots of, concepts with tree, the roots, root down, rise up, those kinds of things. But yeah, that's the name I picked back then. Yes, sir.
Do you have groups, and do you operate from a studio or a?
Yeah, so I have a studio. It's on Market Street in Marietta. I've been at that location since 2015. That's where I see my clients. We have group yoga classes. I work one-on-one with clients, and then I also quarterly I do a program that I call Movement. And the Movement program is like a group alignment training program where you get the rundown on natural physical alignment in a group setting. So you get the opportunity to connect with like-minded people, and you get to learn and create natural physical alignment in a group setting. And that happens, the next one's coming up in the fall, towards the end of September. It's 3 meetings. They're an hour and 45 minutes. I think it's not in stone, but it'll likely be on Sundays. And the meetings are an hour and 45 minutes. When I work one-on-one with clients, so the group training's 3 1 hour and 45 minute sessions as a group. You get work to do in between our time together, so it happens over the span of 3 weeks. And you get results. The 12-week one-on-one coaching, that's how I work with clients individually over the span of 12 weeks. We meet for an hour each week. And I teach natural physical alignment, and then you go home with what I call alignment applications, or it's like physical homework where you're doing drills that are designed for you to really train your muscles and bones to do what we need them to do. And that hope it happens over the course of 12 weeks. Any other questions for me? Mike, you're up, sir. And Mike is one of the amazing instructors at Vital Tree Yoga. He's a huge part of our team. And he brought me into this opportunity to speak to all of you. So thank you for that, Mike.
Hello, everyone.
And without further ado,
Hello,
here's
everyone.
Mike.
Hello. Thank you. That's awesome. I don't get to hear my voice through a microphone too often, so I feel like I'm at court. Your Honor, I wasn't speaking. I see the stop sign. Okay. Service above self, huh? That's what you guys are all about. Outstanding. So now you have to do things for yourself in order to be able to service those people, to be available, to have the energy, and to piggyback on what Lori was talking about. And actually, I was thinking about what the gentleman that was asking about balance. And when she was talking about alignment, imagine your head weighs 10 pounds. You now have this posture that you cultivated over years. That 10 pounds is not in alignment with the rest of your body, so that'll affect your sense of balance. And then with, let's say, deconditioning is what I'm gonna say. You don't have the musculature necessarily to correct yourself. So when you're about to topple over, you might not have what it takes to bring it back up again easily. So that sort of thing is where I get involved. So I am a certified elite level personal trainer. I'm a certified nutritionist. I'm a certified yoga instructor. I've been doing personal training for over a decade. I've been instructing yoga for near a decade. So like Laurie, I've seen a lot of bodies, a lot of people with grand expectations, which some of them get there, some of them have a blast, maybe falling a little bit short. Other people have a little tougher of a time, but the point is, when you endeavor, so let's just talk about wellness, I guess. Wellness is the act of practicing healthy habits on a daily basis to attain better physical and mental health outcomes, so that instead of just surviving, you're thriving. That sounds awesome, right? Like, that's a great quote. I'll tell you who quoted that at the end. So, you have to move your body. That's where, for me, beginning wellness is moving your body. And it doesn't matter what it is. People think, oh, I have to work out, I have to go to a gym, I have to lift weights like this or do that. No. Do what you want, do what's fun. Do pickleball that I keep hearing about that I've never seen, and do pickleball. Go for a walk, those sorts of things. And when you get involved with any sort of physical fitness program, you will get results as long as you have consistency. So there is kind of like some platinum rules that if you adhere to them, you'll get good results. It may take a minute, it may come fast, who knows, but the journey will be more, it'll be a much greater experience for you if you're doing something you enjoy. And obviously, I mean, if you don't want to do something, how are you going to maintain doing it? You got to do it for the rest of your life. So many people have gone and had injuries or something to where a doctor told them, hey, now you're going to have to implement some sort of program. Everyone's going to have to do it. So get on board while you can enjoy it, while you can dictate the terms of that particular program. So as far as general health, you want to have consistency, you want to have good nutrition, you want to have good rest and good flexibility. So you definitely have a good program, consistency, nutrition, flexibility, rest. Now, why move? So resistance training for young girls, doing things like bounding, leaping, jumping, all of that stuff, those impact on the bones, those are positive for young people. That women, especially young girls, that will create a foundation for bone density that is superior to people, their peers who don't participate in any sort of sporting activity. So after a particular age, when ladies typically start losing bone density, those individuals are extra protected. Now, why move your body when you're a man? As we all get older, and I'm like learning this and feeling it, testosterone drops, and then you get involved with a 1-2 punch. So testosterone might get involved with your motivations to do things physically. And if you adapt a sedentary lifestyle, now the testosterone is low, so you don't want to do anything, and you don't want to do anything because the testosterone is low. Well, I'm telling you that you can build your testosterone levels with working out regularly, just something. So move your body, okay? I also want to talk about how we're going to, so we come into nutrition now, because we talked about the workouts. The workout isn't something, it's abstract. I'm not putting up a PowerPoint because I want you to have what you think of a workout in your head. Is it golf? Is it just taking a walk? What is that? You know, I can't dictate to you what it is, so. Nutrition. Your body is built in the kitchen as far as the aesthetic is concerned for the most part. So you want to have high quality, it's an investment in high quality ingredients and a healthy relationship with food. Now, when I say a healthy relationship with food, I'm not exclusively talking about the tendency to overeat or whether you're eating junk food or anything like that. When I talk about a relationship with your food, anybody work with a smoker? Anybody smoke meat around here? You guys smoke meat? Excellent. Do you use the egg type, or are you familiar with that?
No, I don't use that.
Okay, like use an electric type or something.
Yeah, well, charcoal.
Oh, it's a charcoal. So you still have to regulate the temperature, and it's tough to do that. Yes, so that seems difficult. And if you're trying to explain it to someone, it would seem overwhelming because it's foreign and it's, what do you mean, 125 degrees? Like, how am I even gonna, how much cold is it? How much? There's so many questions, but you've experienced it, so that is second nature. And so when you're slow cooking something, are you gonna put your brisket on crummy buns? No way, man. You want some brioche rolls with that. You wanna do something extra positive and really accentuate all the work and help facilitate just that awesome feeling you got from your accomplishment. So, dealing with that, meaning mastery. I'm thinking you understand foods well, you understand what you like, and you understand a variety of ways to make those particular foods. That's what I mean. I'm talking about the concept of, you know, if you cook vegetables, a lot of the bioavailability becomes greater. So if you cook carrots, your body's able to extract more of those nutrients than if you ate it raw. So that's what I mean by mastery of foods. So, you know, you can really understand how these things affect your body, understanding about the scheduling of when you eat, and understanding maybe sometimes when you're eating things that you shouldn't. Is it necessarily connected to something emotional? Who knows? Is it something connected to, hey man, it's Saturday, there's a game on. That means pig meat, which to me, that's what that means, I guess. So it's about building inside yourself, whatever that relationship is going to be. Put treats where they belong, back as some sort of reward, or maybe even some sort of, I want to say reward, but what's greater than a reward? And what's greater than you eating your amazing dish, having thought about it for a week? Imagine that cake on Saturday that you've been thinking about since Monday. And when you do those little things, it adds up to big changes. Change happens incrementally for the most part. When you try to rip that whole thing off and dump all of this food out of the fridge and you go buy arugula and all these other things, and next thing you know, you got a spoiled arugula because you don't like it. You got all of these different things that don't fit into your life. And so that's what needs to happen. You have to know yourself and understand yourself, and then start those processes. So as far as the 3 platinum rules for now, we're into working out particularly. Consistency. Your body loves all forms of consistency. So it likes to eat at the same times. It likes the same caloric intake, the same amount of calories about. That's what tells you when you're full. Your body likes for you to work out at a particular time. If you can stick with something, it makes it significantly easier. So you find a time that you can accomplish those things. And again, we're talking back into starting incrementally. Don't necessarily start out unless you're ready 6 days a week. Working out. Work out just 1 day a week. And your body will tell you if you are getting your benefit. You will say, you know what, I think I can do 2 days. And then you'll maybe do 3 days. And then maybe you'll investigate a different activity. And that's just how it goes. Kind of like trying foods. You may not like it, but you still did it, and that experience happened, and you're not hungry, and you can move on and find something else that maybe is a little bit more up your alley. So always think about variety. Always think about you're not married to this particular activity. It's just about moving your body. And when you think about it, it's about perspective too. If you think about just moving your body, everything else will fall into place. So we talk about workouts. They can be anything: biking, dancing, walking, pickleball, we talked about, yoga. There's so many things. You find something that you like, keep it simple and apply those rules to it. So you want to make sure that you're consistent. You want to make sure that you're intense. Your intensity, you want to make sure that you're there. Give it your all. That's it. You're there for 30 minutes, you're there for an hour. Just give it your all, and then the results will happen, guaranteed. Also, variety with your diet, with as far as the movements that you perform. You definitely want to have variety to give you a better overall complete fitness profile. So that plays into being yoga. You have to be flexible. If you ever see those guys walking around the gym like this? These guys a little bit fake. What's going on is that they're not having full range of motion with things. So if you're doing curls here, looks good, but I'm only getting about 90% of the range of motion. And with that being said, you're only getting 90% of the benefit. So you need that flexibility in order to continue growing. So if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. That was a quote from Bishop John A. of some college. I don't remember the name of it right now. But let's talk about nutrition a little bit. Keep it simple, but you gotta plan, plan, plan. Ben Franklin says, if you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. So when you're coming home from work or whatever that time period is in which you can't necessarily get your normal nutritious meal, you need something there that's available in order for you to just grab it and keep moving with your life. If it's not there, you'll grab something else, pudding, those things that don't benefit you. So I say plan, plan, plan. I take a day, I advise my clients to pick a day and meal prep. That way you're done with it. You don't have to think about it. You come home and bam, you have your caloric intake, you know what you're supposed to be doing. And when I say caloric intake, I'm not sitting there thinking someone has to use a scale and after whatever. We're in the future now. There's like a million different ways that are pretty easy to figure out how much you're supposed to eat just by glancing at the plate. You don't have to get out a scale or anything like that. So now, the things that I'm telling you apply to every aspect of your life for the most part. So, who's got too many bills? Me. So I go around looking for ways in my life that I can eliminate that excess. And so do that. Start with baby steps as far as nutrition or anything in your life. Look around and just say, do I need that Snickers every night before I go to bed? Nah, I could do without it. And those little changes are the ones that start to motivate you to make greater changes and stack on top, until you've reached your physical or nutritional goal. So that's how you have to think of things. Break apart the complication of it into the component parts, and that makes life so much more manageable and a pleasure, actually. So, like smoking meat, it seemed absolutely, it for some reason blew me away, just the concept. I'm like, I can't do this, I can't keep this. Okay, so eliminate before you add. So eliminate the garbage before you go out and buy a bunch of stuff at the grocery store that you might not want to eat, because you'll get the results just from those changes. Okay, so where do professionals fit in? Professionals fit in where you might not have the knowledge, you might not have the motivation, you might not just want to do it to design your own workouts. That's why you would bring in a professional. You bring in a professional when maybe the workouts you're doing, you might be a little bit unsure about the mechanics of how to perform the movements. That's when you'd have your professional. Your professional gives you variety, your professional monitors you. So they are the ones who are helping you keep sight of your goal. Even though you might fall off here and there, your professional will always keep you pointed in north. So that's why you bring in a professional. And it's not like in the olden days when you'd walk into the gym and you have to give them your phone number and all of a sudden, they're calling me every day and I can't. No, we're not, you don't have to have that where the relationship that's not predatory, where they're trying to make sure that they keep you and hold on to you. No, because my clients we have a great relationship and I impart tons of knowledge while I'm training. So my clients stay with me because they like my variety, they like my personality, they like what I've done for them. But they could all just walk away right then if they wanted to and design their own programs because I've given them enough information throughout our working together. So that, you don't have to think about that when you go with your professional nowadays. You don't have to be afraid. And there's a million ways that your professional can work with you now. You can do it virtually. So you could be at your home and they could be at their home, or you could be at the gym where they could design the programs for you, or they can come in and work one-on-one just like a normal gym would work, or they go to your home. There's a million ways to gain this level of consistency and to really keep moving towards your goals. That's what I keep talking about, moving towards your goals. Okay, so I covered everything. Awesome. Do you guys have questions for me? Yes.
2 questions. Question number 1, if somebody enlists the help of a professional do they only keep the professional until it becomes a habit to them, until they form the habit? That's question number one. And question number two, is it better to consume barley raw or in a beer?
I would do it in a beer after my workout, but after I already ate my other nutrition, because once you introduce the beer, your body wants to focus on the beer and not about building muscle or eliminating all of the food that you ate prior.
So work out before the beer? Okay. So question number one.
Okay, and question number two, you work with your professional as long as you feel comfortable doing it, and as long as they give you value. And if you have something where you're like, oh, I don't want to work with my professional for A, B, or C reason, they might be able to find a way to overcome that. We call those like a limiting factor, like, oh man, I don't have the time anymore. Well, they might be able to find time for you, or you slide you over to program design, or something where you may be on your own. And so it's just working with your provider. Yes, sir.
You mentioned that cooking vegetables provides the body more opportunity to get the nutrition out of them.
Yes, sir.
I've always heard that eating raw vegetables was better. Can you talk more about that?
Say again the last part, sir.
I've heard that eating raw vegetables is better for your body because when you cook them, you destroy some of the nutrition. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Well, that's a good question because it's relative. So you're talking about like beta carotene and vitamin B. Those are better uptaken. They're more available for your body to take them after being cooked. So it's too hard for your body to get all of the nutrients out when it's raw. So so the cooking process breaks it down a portion, and then your body takes care of the rest. If you eat a lot of vegetables raw, they'll pass through before you're able to extract all of the available nutrients. More questions? Yes, sir.
So you were going down the list of things to do. 19 months ago, I was 260 pounds, and I committed myself to doing 30 days of yoga and changing my diet. Got to the end of 30 days, didn't feel much change. Kept going. Throughout last year, I lost 70 pounds by just making incremental changes and not giving up. And it was very hard mentally to do that. And I found that the mental part of making these positive changes was some of the hardest to overcome. And I think that's where a lot of people stop. But every day I committed to, I wanted to get my goal, which was far down the road. But I realized that if I do something every day, that was a victory. And then I built the next day on top of that. And I found out that it was okay to have a bad day. But it was also okay to have a treat day where I had a couple of beers and some ice cream, and it's okay, you don't negate all of that.
Absolutely.
It's very hard to lose track right away and not get back on track, but if you surround yourself with positivity and share your experiences and holding yourself accountable, it's okay to have a bad day as long as you get back on it the next day and just being consistent.
Yes, and when you say bad day, with my clients, and that's where I get into it. I don't make meals for my clients. It's a discussion. It's a cerebral endeavor. So it's about overcoming limiting factors. So what is the limiting factor for a bad day? We would try to identify that, like, oh, okay, this, and this. Okay, cool. If it's something that's reoccurring, then we can try to navigate around that. But also, to speak about the positive incremental changes that you made. I mean, the hard work, it's always hard, and it's a relative feeling. Like, hard for you may not be hard for me, but I'm sure it's difficult all the way around. But how great did you feel about your accomplishment? Even when you said you didn't get the results after the 30 days that you were looking for, did you receive any result during that time?
Yep, and then I decided, okay, I'm gonna go another 30 days. I'm gonna go another 30 days. And then I met my goal and I was like, wait, I can do more. And I kept going. Yes, outstanding. Yes, you definitely, it's about consistency. As long as you stick to it, you can accomplish anything. And you break it down. If you know how to play an instrument, a musical instrument, and you started out with whatever, then learning the notes, learning the scales, or moving on and further, getting more difficulty. And that's what you want to do with your physical fitness or your nutrition. If you try to just throw yourself in, you would be overwhelmed with the amount of things that are available, lifestyles, paleo and keto, and where people wouldn't even know where to look. So when you have a professional, that really helps you. And also, it's more of
when you're working with your professional, they're really on the mental aspect of it. What's holding you back, and how can I help you get over that speed bump? And even with perspective, so you can think about foods. When you say a bad day, and I think, oh, I just ate a bunch of bad food, but I think of food as energy. So when I'm looking at a plate of amazing brownies, I don't see like, oh, it's just bad for me. I just see that's a ton of energy. And I don't think I'm gonna do anything today to get rid of that energy. So I might not wanna do that personally. So just, it's about perspective. You don't wanna get a negative relationship on food. Food's awesome, even the bad stuff, that stuff tastes good. But there's a place for it. It has a place, it's called a treat. My kids don't get excited to go to McDonald's. I did. We didn't go all the time. It was where it was supposed to be. It was a value, it was valuable, not just some driving home and, oh, we'll just stop. No, man, we got put on my mom, man, go get your good shirt on, we're going to McDonald's. Yeah. Yes, sir.
So I just want to mention, I've been using a personal trainer for 9 months now, and I'm in the best physical shape I've been in since my 20s. And I've learned a couple things from using, a personal trainer. Years and years ago, I signed up for a gym. I went to a gym, but I didn't know what I was doing. And I was doing, but technique, I had no idea what the technique needed to be. My personal trainer makes sure that the technique is correct, that I'm getting the benefit and the value. And I see it. And I go, 2 mornings a week, and I don't want to miss. And he makes me work hard.
Yes, because you can. And you've progressed and made it to that point. The workouts, I'm sure, were not nearly as difficult in the beginning. Well, it's relative, but definitely, yeah, that's a positive comment. Thank you for sharing that. Yes.